from the ecosystem today that could, at the end of the day, help drive better customer engagement, right? Because that's the goal that we are going at. Everyone is better consumer experience. So what do you think is missing in the ecosystem that would help deliver that?
In the ecosystem, if I were to say, right, we have our own data and we make use of our own data.
Yes.
There's no trusted third-party source for us to rely on, right? And if we were to share our data with anyone, we'd not really be happy doing that, and we'd not do that, right? And at the same time, if I ask a partner to share their data, they will also not be happy doing that. So there's no middle way between this, right? It's either way is extreme, that you share all the data or you don't share the data at all. There has to be something which is like a middle way where you get to share the data as well, and you get to see other partners' data as well, and sort of do something which is more holistic rather than just working in silos between different walled gardens. Or it could be like you're working only on your data, or your partners are working only on their own data, right? So if we can plug in the data without any issues, without any discrepancies, I think it would lead to better conversions, and eventually brands will be able to spend where they really want to spend rather than where they end up spending. Right. Because there is definitely a gap where you want to spend and where you end up spending, right? Because of different KPIs which you might be driving.
Got it. So it also helps you get a better understanding of your consumers, and not just relying on your data, but then in a trustful manner being able to gauge everyone benefits.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Great. Just stepping, I think, to a wider frame now, right? We've spoken about India, and we've spoken about how tier 1 and rural or tier 3, tier 4 cities differ. When you look at Bharat as a whole, what is colloquially being called Bharat these days, right? Where 50% of India resides and over 50% of the revenues come from. What do you think will be the most important things that you solve for in 2020 when it comes to Bharat? Is it that we need more understanding of who these consumers are? Is it that we don't know whom we are targeting, or engaging them is a lot different ball game compared to what we see in tier 1 and tier 2? So which do you think here are the bigger challenges here?
Bharat, as we see, right, it is so different and it is so unique in itself. Different pockets are very different for their own localized. There's so much of localization which is there, right? If we were to look at certain geographies, they have their own local languages, and they sort of act differently than the different geography altogether. Now, there is no one solution which fits all, and there's no running away from this. You'll have to have different strategies for different geographies. You'll have to have different strategies for different kind of people. You'll have to have different strategy for acquiring different customers and then retaining those customers, right? It could be as basic as you start communicating in their language, right? You start communicating in a language which they really want you to communicate in, right? Can you sort of change all your communication based on what a user wants? Instead of sending a mass communication, or instead of just being English or Hindi or English, can you be local? Can you go local, and can you customize to that level, right? Where you are customizing to the level where the user wants to really see you. And there's a lot of content which these guys are consuming in terms of, which is again local content, and it is in the language which is preferred by the users. Are you present across all the languages? Yeah. And depending on what expectation a user have, how agile are you in developing that for the end user?
Got it. So to be able to even reach out to them to begin with, to understand them, you have to communicate with them in the language that they understand.
Yes.
Right. So that itself is a starting problem to begin with. So how do you think in that case your marketing strategy, for that matter, differs for, say, the tier 3 and beyond versus the more urban India? How does your plan or your vision change?
So as I mentioned, right, we are investing a lot on developing content-based commerce solutions, right? And we're investing a lot on driving content and commerce together, right? So which means that we are creating content which would be a local content, which a user is really interested in reading about, or a user is really interested in seeing. So today, if you were to see a mobile phone review, for instance, You'd get that in English, you'll get that in Hindi, but will you get that in Tamil or Kannada? No. You'll have to figure out that, okay, is there a channel for where I can go and watch this content in my preferred language, right? And if you were to talk about people who really want to see this content, they prefer watching it in their own language rather than watching it in English or Hindi. So we are developing a lot of content, and we are working with a lot of partners to develop content and then link it to the commerce and hence deliver commerce.
Thank you so much for your time today, Shreyansh.
Thank you so
It was
much.
fabulous.